On May 20th, 70,000 people in a crowded stadium sing your club's anthem, while £200,000 worth of blue and red pyrotechnics launch into the afternoon sky. Your captain steps onto a black velvet stage, grips a 22-kilogram trophy forged from sterling silver and 24-karat gold, and thrusts it toward the heavens. It is the peak of human drama, the culmination of decades of ambition, billions of fan hours, and centuries of tradition. Every media camera in the world is pointed at your emblem. On paper, you are at the absolute apex of global sports entertainment. Then Monday morning arrives. Before the confetti is even swept off the pitch, your chief financial officer sits down at a desk covered in contractually triggered liabilities. The moment that trophy was lifted, £85 million in mandatory performance bonuses automatically transferred out of your accounts to 32 individual players, coaches, and staff members. Your Star Striker's agent calls to inform you that because his client is now a champion, his current £200,000 a week salary is an insult. He wants $400,000, or he's submitting a transfer request. The manager who brought you the title refuses to sign his extension unless you guarantee a £200 million transfer budget for the summer. And every selling club across Europe instantly doubles the price tag on every player on your scouting radar. This is the dirty secret of modern football finance. Winning the Premier League is not a gold mine. It is an escalation contract. Public perception tells us that lifting the trophy grants a club financial invincibility. Operational reality shows us that victory behaves like a golden trap. The immediate financial cost of winning frequently swallows the direct prize money whole, locking the champion into a dangerous new tier of recurring expenditure just to defend what they spent a fortune to acquire. To understand who survives this trap and who gets crushed by it, you have to look at the three distinct financial architectures capable of reaching the top of English football. First are the sovereign infrastructure giants. These are clubs built on the balance sheets of global state entities or multi-club networks. For these organizations, winning the Premier League is not an end goal. It is a routine corporate requirement designed to validate a multi-billion-pound global branding project. If their wage bill spikes by £50 million after a title win, the parent entity absorbs the cost without breaking stride. Second are the self-sustaining titans. These are legacy institutions with massive, decades-old global fan bases, operating under private equity or corporate ownership. They cannot rely on infinite sovereign backstops. Instead, they win by executing surgical recruitment algorithms, capitalizing on rival mistakes, and maintaining a strict, non-negotiable ratio between player salaries and commercial growth. And third are the anomaly champions. These are mid-table or rising clubs that pull off historic, once-in-a-generation runs, where every tactical gamble pays off, and every rival falters simultaneously. For an anomaly champion, victory isn't an evolution into a permanent superpower. It is a sudden, violent structural shock that permanently transforms their wage bill before their commercial infrastructure is ready to support it. A sovereign empire absorbing a title win as a baseline metric, and an ambitious challenger risking its long-term financial health to capture a single moment of glory are playing two completely different financial sports. If you ask the average fan how much a team earns for winning the Premier League, they will quote a staggering figure somewhere near £180 million. That number is technically real, but it is deeply misleading. The Premier League's central revenue distribution system is deliberately engineered around broadcast parity, not winner-take-all destruction. Out of the total £3 billion global TV and commercial pot, every single club in the 20-team league receives an identical baseline share of roughly £97 million just for showing up. The rest of the money is distributed through two mechanisms: facility fees, which pay out based on how many times a team's matches are chosen for live television broadcasts, and merit payments, which are awarded on a strict sliding scale based on where a team finishes in the final table. For finishing in first place, the champion receives a merit payment of roughly £75 million. Add in 35 televised matches, yielding around £30 million in facility fees, and your Central League distribution hits that famous £180 million total. Now look at the bottom of the table. The team that finishes in 20th place, the absolute worst team in the league, still walks away with roughly £112 million in equal shares, minor merit payouts, and television fees. Do the math on the actual financial reward for greatness. The net delta between taking dead last in the Premier League and being crowned the champions of England is only about £68 million. In the landscape of modern elite football, £68 million doesn't build a champion. It pays the transfer fee for half of a top-tier midfielder, or covers the annual wages of 2 elite wingers. The direct cash reward for winning the hardest league in the world barely moves the needle. If the actual prize money differential over the worst team in the league is only £68 million, where does the financial trap lie? It sits in 4 hidden liabilities that detonate the instant the league title is secured. The bonus avalanche. To keep base salaries manageable throughout the season, modern clubs load contracts with performance incentives. When you win the title, those clauses trigger simultaneously across 30 different contracts. Individual player bonuses, squad placement pools, manager performance multipliers, and executive payouts instantly wipe out £50 to £70 million in cash, effectively erasing the entire merit prize delta earned on the pitch in a single afternoon. The payroll ratchet effect. Winning the title completely destroys a club's leverage in contract extensions. Players who are willing to play for £120,000 a week while chasing a title demand double that amount once they become proven champions. Renewing just 5 core players at market rates for champions inflates your annual payroll by £30 to £50 million. Unlike a one-off bonus, an inflated wage bill is a fixed, legally binding liability that sits on your books for the next 4 years. The champion's markup. The moment you put a gold Premier League badge on your sleeve, the transfer market changes for you. Every selling club across Europe knows you possess champion-level ambitions and a fresh payout from the league. A target who was priced at £35 million in April suddenly cost £65 million in July. The agent squeeze. Agents do not negotiate with champions out of charity. Securing the signature of top-tier talent or retaining elite players requires millions in upfront agent commissions, signing-on fees, and image rights payments that never appear in official transfer fee headlines. While your expenses skyrocket from player bonuses and inflated wages, you run directly into the brick wall of modern financial regulation. Squad cost control ratios and profitability rules. Domestic and European governing bodies enforce strict financial fair play frameworks. Under these regulations, a club is restricted to spending a maximum percentage, typically between 70 and 85%, of its total annual football revenue on playing squad expenses, which includes player wages, manager salaries, agent fees, and annual transfer amortization costs. This creates a terrifying arithmetic bottleneck for a new champion. If a club generates £300 million in total annual revenue, and its regulatory cap is set at 75%, its absolute maximum allowable spend on playing squad costs is £225 million. If winning the title causes your wage bill to jump from £160 million to £210 million, and your annual transfer amortization sits at £50 million, your squad costs hit £260 million. You have now breached regulatory limits by £35 million. The consequences of breaching these caps are not mere slaps on the wrist. Regulators no longer settle for small cash fines. They enforce point deductions in the league table and severe squad size restrictions in European competition. A point deduction of 6 or 8 points in a fiercely competitive Premier League season can instantly drop a reigning champion out of top 4 qualification for the following season. And missing out on that elite European qualification instantly wipes out £80 to £100 million in anticipated revenue, turning a temporary cost overshoot into a long-term financial crisis. Faced with skyrocketing wage bills and strict regulatory spending caps, reigning champions are often forced into an agonizing strategic trade-off: squad cannibalization. To generate immediate accounting profit and keep their squad cost ratio under control, clubs are frequently forced to sell some of their best academy-raised talent or key starters. Under modern PSR accounting guidelines, selling an academy player represents pure capital gain on the ledger, because their original acquisition cost was zero. Selling a homegrown star for £50 million instantly injects £50 million of profit directly onto the current year's balance sheet, balancing out the bonus payouts and wage increases triggered by the title win. This creates an ironic structural paradox. To afford keeping your newly crowned, ultra-expensive starting lineup together, you have to sell off the young, high-potential depth players who helped you navigate 45 matches across 4 competitions. The squad grows thinner at the exact moment the schedule grows heavier. As a reigning champion entering the expanded Champions League, your total matches increase from 40 to potentially 60 games a season. But because of wage inflation and regulatory pressure, your overall squad depth becomes dangerously fragile. A single 2-month hamstring injury to a key midfielder can derail an entire title defense campaign, simply because the club could not afford to retain high-end backup options under its new wage structure. If direct prize money is consumed by bonuses, regulatory caps limit your spending, and squad depth gets squeezed. Why do ambitious owners ruin their sleep schedules trying to win this trophy? Because winning the Premier League is not a cash flow event. It is a commercial and global equity catalyst. Champions make their real money through 3 delayed, secondary channels. The Champions League waterfall. Finishing at the top of the table guarantees top seed entry into the multi-billion-pound UEFA Champions League format. Successfully navigating the group stages and knockout rounds of Europe's elite competition adds £80 million to £130 million in additional broadcasting distributions, venue ticketing, and UEFA performance bonuses. The sponsorship escalator. Major corporate sponsorships are built on incentive structures. A club's kit manufacturer, shirt sponsor, and sleeve partners pay base rates, but a Premier League victory triggers automatic bonus payouts of £10 to £25 million. More importantly, when those commercial agreements come up for renewal over the next 2 cycles, being able to pitch your brand as the reigning monarch of English football allows you to double or triple your commercial rates. Global fanbase capture. Premier League champions capture the vast majority of new, uncommitted international fans across emerging markets in Asia, North America, and Africa. That global footprint drives shirt sales, digital subscriptions, regional brand partnerships, and preseason international exhibition tours, where promoters will pay £5 to £7 million for a single summer match. The final piece of long-term commercial transformation sits in physical matchday infrastructure. When a club elevates itself to the status of Premier League champions, demand for tickets drastically outstrips stadium supply. Modern champions cannot simply rely on a traditional general admission ticket sales to fund their massive wage bills. They must transform their grounds into hyper-lucrative hospitality hubs. Winning a title creates an immediate surge in corporate demand. Elite executive boxes, tunnel clubs, fine dining hospitality lounges, and premium seating packages can be repriced at record highs. A single corporate guest in a high-end matchday suite can generate 10 to 20 times the revenue of a general admission season ticket holder. Furthermore, being crowned champions often serves as the economic justification for massive capital expenditure projects, stadium expansions, venue modernizations, and multi-use entertainment development around the ground. By expanding capacity from 40,000 to 60,000 seats or adding state-of-the-art concert and event capabilities, champions attempt to build a permanent, non-football revenue engine capable of subsidizing their ballooning football operational costs for decades to come. To see how these mechanics play out over time, look at 2 contrasting case studies from modern history. When Leicester City won the Premier League title at 5,000 to 1 odds, it was the most magnificent sporting achievement of the 21st century. Financially, however, it triggered a structural crisis. To prevent their star players from immediately departing for legacy giants, Leicester shattered their internal wage cap, raising squad salaries across the board to champion levels. When they subsequently failed to qualify for the Champions League in back-to-back seasons, their revenue normalized, but their massively inflated, long-term wage bill remained locked in. The resulting financial bleed forced emergency player sales, crippled their recruitment strategy, and eventually led to their shocking relegation from the top flight just 7 years after lifting the trophy. Conversely, look at the dynastic machinery built by Manchester City. By winning consecutive Premier League titles, City transformed raw sporting success into an integrated global revenue engine. Because their commercial partnerships, international tours, and multi-club scouting system generate over £700 million in annual revenue, their title-winning wage bill easily sits inside safe regulatory guardrails. Winning does not break their balance sheet. It feeds it, creating the recurring cash flow needed to replace aging stars with world-class 22-year-olds before a decline ever sets in. Lifting the Premier League trophy is the most thrilling, prestigious, and emotionally overwhelming moment in club sport. But behind the confetti and the silver trophy sits a brutal financial equation. The title is not a prize that pays you. It is a cover charge that buys you the privilege of competing at an even more expensive table. The prize money from the league merely reimburses you for the money spent on the grass to win it. The clubs that survive victory are those that treat the trophy not as the destination, but as a commercial weapon to be converted into global equity before the next wage bill comes due. Getting to the top of English football requires an extraordinary amount of money, but staying there requires an extraordinary amount of discipline.